Darkness falls. The night sky over New York City shimmered with an eerie, unnatural light. At first, the crowds in Times Square pointed and gasped, mistaking the phenomenon for an elaborate light show or perhaps an unusually active aurora borealis. But as the shimmering intensified, an unsettling silence fell over the city. Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist visiting from MIT, felt a chill run down her spine. She'd been in the city for a conference on theoretical applications of dark matter, but now found herself frozen in place, staring up at the sky with growing dread. "This isn't right," she whispered to herself, her mind racing through possible explanations, and finding none that fit. Suddenly, the air itself seemed to ripple and tear. Massive shapes materialized out of thin air, their outlines blurred and distorted as if reality itself struggled to accept their presence. As the distortions cleared, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Hovering above the city were ships, colossal, alien vessels that defied human engineering. Panic erupted in waves across the city. Screams filled the air as people ran in all directions, their minds unable to process the impossible sight above them. Car horns blared and sirens wailed in the distance, adding to the cacophony of fear. Sarah's scientific mind kicked into overdrive, trying to analyze what she was seeing. The ships seemed to bend light around them, explaining their sudden appearance. But before she could contemplate further, a blinding flash lit up the sky. A beam of incandescent energy lanced down from the largest ship, striking the Empire State Building. In an instant, the iconic structure simply ceased to exist, vaporized into nothingness. The crowd's screams reached a fever pitch as realization dawned. This was no light show, no natural phenomenon. This was an attack. More energy beams rained down, targeting landmarks and infrastructure across the city. The Statue of Liberty, the Brooklyn Bridge, Grand Central Station, all vanished in heartbeats, leaving only scorched earth and stunned silence in their wake. As chaos engulfed the streets, Sarah's survival instincts kicked in. She sprinted away from Times Square, her mind racing to formulate a plan. She needed to find shelter, to contact someone, anyone, who might have answers. Rounding a corner, she collided with a tall, broad-shouldered man in a worn leather jacket. They both stumbled, and Sarah found herself staring into the steely eyes of Jack Harper, an ex-Navy SEAL turned private security consultant. "Watch where you're going," Jack barked, then softened as he saw the terror in Sarah's eyes. "Are you okay?" Sarah shook her head, gesturing wildly at the sky. "We're under attack. Aliens. They're destroying everything." Jack's training kicked in immediately. He grabbed Sarah's arm, pulling her into the shelter of a nearby alleyway. "I saw. We need to get off the streets, find somewhere defensible." As they moved deeper into the alley, a deafening roar filled the air. A sleek, triangular craft swooped low overhead, its surface rippling with an oily metallic sheen. It was unlike any of the larger ships, clearly designed for atmospheric flight, and Sarah realized with horror, hunting. The alien craft fired, not with energy beams, but with what looked like living projectiles. Writhing, tentacled organisms splattered across buildings and streets, immediately beginning to burrow and spread. "What the hell are those things?" Jack muttered, his voice tight with tension. Sarah's scientific mind raced to comprehend what she was seeing. Some kind of biological weapon, maybe. "We can't let them touch us." As if in response to her words, one of the alien organisms detected their presence. It detached from the wall, pulsating as it launched itself towards them with frightening speed. Jack reacted instantly, shoving Sarah behind him and drawing a concealed handgun. He fired 3 rapid shots, each one striking the creature dead center. To their shock, the bullets seemed to pass through it harmlessly, the creature's form rippling like liquid mercury. "Run," Jack yelled, grabbing Sarah's hand as they sprinted deeper into the maze of back alleys. Behind them, they could hear the alien organism squelching and slithering in pursuit. Sarah's lungs burned as they ran, her mind a whirlwind of terror and desperate problem-solving. "We need to slow it down," she gasped between breaths. "Do you have anything besides bullets?" Jack patted his pockets as they ran, producing a small canister. "Pepper spray. Military grade." Sarah's eyes lit up with an idea. That might work. The capsaicin could disrupt its cellular structure. They skidded around a corner, finding themselves in a dead end. The alien creature oozed into view, its form undulating with malevolent purpose. "Now or never," Jack growled, stepping forward and unleashing a stream of pepper spray directly at the organism. The effect was immediate and shocking. The creature emitted a high-pitched keening noise, its form bubbling and dissolving where the spray made contact. Within seconds, it had collapsed into a puddle of inert goo. Sarah and Jack stood there, chests heaving as they caught their breath and processed what had just happened. "Quick thinking," Jack nodded to Sarah, a note of respect in his voice. "Lucky guess," she replied, her mind already racing ahead. "But we need to find somewhere safe, somewhere we can regroup and try to understand what's happening." As if in answer to her words, a nearby manhole cover shifted and lifted. Both Sarah and Jack tensed, ready for another alien horror. Instead, a disheveled face peered out, human, and wearing the uniform of a New York City subway worker. "Hey," the man hissed, gesturing urgently. "You two, down here, quick." Sarah and Jack shared a brief, questioning look before making their decision. With the sounds of destruction and alien crafts growing closer, they hurried to the manhole. "Name's Mike," the subway worker said as he helped them down. "Got a whole group of us hiding out in an old maintenance tunnel. Figure the aliens won't think to look underground, at least not right away." As they descended into the dimly lit tunnel system, Sarah's mind was already formulating theories and potential countermeasures. Jack, ever vigilant, kept watch for any signs of pursuit. They rounded a corner to find a makeshift camp of shell-shocked survivors, a diverse group huddled together. A nurse still in scrubs, a couple of college students, an elderly librarian clutching a bag of books, and more. Their faces lit up with a mix of hope and wariness at the sight of newcomers. "Found two more," Mike announced. "This here's Sarah. She's some kind of scientist. And this is Jack, ex-military by the looks of him." A murmur ran through the group. Sarah could see the way they latched onto these labels, desperate for any sense of authority or expertise in the face of the incomprehensible. "Do you know what's happening?" the nurse asked, her voice quavering. "Why are they here? What do they want?" Sarah took a deep breath, acutely aware of the weight of expectation settling on her shoulders. "I don't know," she admitted. "But we're alive, we're together, and we've already found one way to hurt them." "That's a start." Jack nodded, his posture straight and confident despite the circumstances. "We've got brains," he gestured to Sarah. "And we got muscle," he tapped his own chest. "Between all of us, we'll figure out a way to fight back." As the group huddled closer, sharing what meager supplies and information they had, a spark of hope kindled in the underground sanctuary. Above them, New York City, and indeed, the entire world, was forever changed. But here, in this impromptu bunker, humanity's resistance was about to be born. Whispers of hope. 3 days had passed since the initial invasion. The ragtag group of survivors huddled in the dank subway tunnels beneath New York City had grown, as more shell-shocked civilians found their way to this underground sanctuary. Sarah Chen and Jack Harper had naturally fallen into leadership roles, their expertise and level-headedness providing a beacon of hope in the darkness. Sarah pored over a makeshift map of the city, meticulously marking known alien positions and safe zones. Jack approached, his face grim. "Supply run was a bust," he reported. "Those damned biomechs are everywhere topside. We barely made it back." Sarah nodded, her brow furrowed. "We can't keep this up forever. We need a game changer." As if on cue, Mike the subway worker burst into their makeshift command center, his eyes wide with excitement. "You're not gonna believe this," he panted. "We found something. Something big." Minutes later, Sarah and Jack stood before a rusted steel door, hidden behind decades of grime and forgotten urban development. The faded letters DAR-PA were barely visible above a keypad. A secret government lab. "Here," Sarah whispered, her mind racing with possibilities. Jack smirked. "Wouldn't be the first time the government's hidden something under our noses," with some creative rewiring courtesy of Zoe, a teenage tech prodigy who'd joined their group. The ancient door groaned open. Flashlights pierced the darkness, revealing a treasure trove of experimental technology. "Holy shit," Jack breathed, running his hand over a sleek, gun-like device. "Some of this stuff looks like it's right out of a sci-fi movie." Sarah's eyes lit up as she examined a bank of computers. "This is incredible. Quantum processors, experimental AI. This lab must have been working on some seriously advanced tech." As the group explored the hidden facility, Zoe let out an excited yelp from a corner. "Guys, check this out." She held up a small circular device. "It's some kind of universal translator. And get this, it's got settings for languages that definitely aren't from Earth." A hush fell over the group as the implications sank in. Sarah was the first to voice what they were all thinking. The government knew. They knew about the aliens before the invasion. Jack's jaw clenched. And they didn't warn us. Didn't prepare us. Maybe they didn't know when or if the aliens would come, Sarah reasoned. But right now, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we might finally have a way to understand our enemy. Over the next few hours, the group worked feverishly to get the old systems up and running. Zoe proved invaluable, her young mind adapting quickly to the advanced technology. Finally, with a hum of power, the lab flickered to life. "I got something," Zoe called out, her fingers flying over a keyboard. "The translator is picking up alien communications. It's... oh my God." The color drained from her face as the translations appeared on screen. Sarah leaned in, her eyes widening in horror. "They're not just invading," she whispered. "They're harvesting, turning Earth into a breeding ground for their biomechanical soldiers." Jack's fists clenched. "How long?" Zoe swallowed hard. "According to this, we have less than a week before they start full-scale conversion of the human population." The weight of this revelation settled heavily on the group. But as the initial shock wore off, determination began to replace fear. "We know their plan now," Sarah said, her voice growing stronger. "And knowledge is power. Zoe, keep monitoring their communications. Jack, gather everyone who can fight. We need to start training with this new tech." As the others dispersed to their tasks, Sarah turned her attention to a sealed container in the corner of the lab. Inside, she found vials of an iridescent liquid and pages of research notes. Hours passed as Sarah pored over the data, her scientific mind pushing beyond exhaustion. The pieces began to fall into place, a desperate plan forming. "Jack," she called out, her voice echoing through the lab. "I think I've found something. A weapon." Jack hurried over, eyebrow raised. "What kind of weapon?" Sarah held up one of the vials. "This is a nanovirus developed to interface with alien biology. It was meant to be a last resort, a way to turn their own tech against them." "And you think it'll work?" Jack asked, hope and skepticism mooring in his voice. "I think it's our best shot," Sarah replied. "But we need a test subject, and a way to deploy it on a massive scale." Jack's eyes hardened with resolve. "Leave the deployment to me. You focus on making sure that stuff does what we need it to do." Over the next day, the underground base became a hive of activity. Jack trained a group of volunteers in the use of the experimental weapons, while Sarah and Zoe worked tirelessly to refine the nanovirus and boost the range of their communication intercepts. It was Zoe who made the next breakthrough. "I've cracked their encryption," she announced, her voice a mix of triumph and disbelief. "Guys, there's an alien down here. In the old sewer systems, separated from the others." Jack immediately began gearing up. "Sounds like we just found our test subject." Sarah grabbed his arm. Jack, wait. We intercept that alien. We only get one shot at this. We have to be smart. He nodded, understanding the weight of the moment. What's the plan, Doc? Sarah laid out her strategy. They would set a trap, using the alien's own biosignatures against it. A small team led by Jack would subdue the creature, while Sarah prepared the nanovirus for deployment. Hours later, in the dank depths of the sewer system, Jack and his team lay in wait. The alien biomech lumbered into view, its form a nightmarish fusion of organic tissue and gleaming metal. Jack gave the signal, and the trap was sprung. Experimental energy weapons fired, momentarily stunning the creature. It lashed out with whip-like appendages, sending two of Jack's team flying. But they had trained for this, moving with coordinated precision. Jack rolled under a sweeping attack, coming up with a device Sarah had modified. He slammed it against the alien's carapace, and a surge of electricity coursed through its form. The biomech collapsed, twitching. Target secured. Jack barked into his comm. Sarah, we're bringing it in. Get ready. Back in the lab, Sarah prepared the nanovirus with trembling hands. This was the moment of truth, the culmination of days of desperate work and years of forgotten research. As Jack's team secured the subdued alien to a makeshift examination table, Sarah approached with the vial of shimmering liquid. Here goes everything, she muttered, and injected the nanovirus directly into the alien's central nervous system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the creature began to convulse, its form rippling and changing. Mechanical components detached, clattering to the floor. In minutes, what lay before them was something entirely organic, weakened, but undeniably alive. It worked. Sarah breathed, scarcely believing her eyes. We can revert their soldiers back to their original form. A cheer went up from the gathered survivors. For the first time since the invasion began, they had tangible hope. But their celebration was cut short as Zoe's voice rang out, panic evident in her tone. Guys, I'm picking up a massive energy surge. Something big is happening topside. They rushed to the monitors, watching in horror as a new wave of alien ships descended from the sky. The invasion was entering its next phase. Sarah and Jack shared a look of grim determination. They had a weapon now, a way to fight back. But the real battle was just beginning. All right, everyone, Jack called out, his voice steady and commanding. We've got work to do. Let's show these aliens what humanity is made of. As the group rallied, preparing for the fight of their lives, a spark of defiance burned in every human heart. The whisper of hope had become a battle cry. Humanity was ready to take back their world. The human spirit ignites. The underground resistance had grown from a handful of survivors to a network spanning the remnants of New York City. Word of their successful weapon against the alien biomechs had spread like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of those who had all but given up. Sarah Chen stood before a makeshift war council, her eyes blazing with determination. We've proven the nanovirus works, but we need to scale up. Fast. Jack Harper nodded grimly. The new wave of ships has been deploying some kind of atmospheric processor. The air's getting thinner up there. Zoe, hunched over her cobbled-together command center of salvaged computers, piped up. And I've intercepted transmissions suggesting they're about to start large-scale harvesting of humans for conversion. A murmur of fear rippled through the assembled leaders. Sarah raised her hand for silence. We have a plan, but it's going to take all of us working together to pull it off. Over the next hours, Sarah laid out their strategy. They would split into 3 teams, one to raid alien processing facilities for more raw materials, another to set up a network of nanovirus dispersal units throughout the city, and a third to coordinate a global resistance movement using repurposed alien communication tech. As the meeting adjourned, an unexpected voice spoke up. Dr. Emilio Rodriguez, a geneticist who had joined their group a week earlier, stepped forward. There's another option we need to consider, she said, her voice quiet but firm. We can use the alien DNA we've gathered to enhance our own capabilities. A hush fell over the room. Jack was the first to break it. You're talking about turning ourselves into the very things we're fighting against. Emilia shook her head. Not exactly. I'm talking about controlled genetic modification, enhancing our strength, speed, and resilience without losing our humanity. Sarah's scientific curiosity warred with her ethical concerns. It's risky, she admitted, but given what we're up against, it might be necessary. The debate raged for hours, but in the end, the decision was made. A small group of volunteers, including Jack, would undergo the experimental procedure. The fate of humanity might well rest on their enhanced shoulders. Dawn broke over a city transformed. Where once stood proud skyscrapers, alien spires now reached toward a sickly green sky. But beneath the surface, humanity was preparing to strike back. Sarah oversaw the final preparations of the nanovirus dispersal units. Each one was a marvel of human ingenuity and alien tech, capable of releasing a cloud of the virus over a wide area. Remember, she instructed the deployment teams, these need to be placed at key points throughout the city. Timing is everything. Across the underground complex, Jack and the other volunteers emerged from the genetic enhancement chambers. They moved with a new grace and power, their eyes shimmering with an otherworldly light. How do you feel? Sarah asked, unable to keep a note of concern from her voice. Jack flexed his hand, watching as his skin shifted with a subtle metallic sheen. Strong, he said simply. Ready. As the teams prepared to move out, Zoe's voice crackled over the comms. We've got movement topside. Massive alien force converging on Central Park. Looks like they're setting up for a major harvesting operation. Sarah and Jack shared a look. This was it, the moment that would decide the fate of their species. All teams, move out, Jack commanded. Remember your training, stick to the plan. And no matter what happens, give them hell. The resistance erupted from hidden entrances throughout the city. They moved with purpose, years of human tactical knowledge enhanced by alien tech and biology. For the first time since the invasion, the aliens found themselves on the defensive. In Central Park, a massive alien processing ship hovered, its sinister tendrils reaching down to scoop up corralled humans. But as the first group was lifted toward the ship's maw, all hell broke loose. Jack and his team of enhanced humans burst onto the scene, moving faster than the eye could track. They tore through the alien guards like tissue paper, their modified bodies shrugging off energy blasts that would have vaporized normal humans. Now, Jack roared into his comm. Across the city, Sarah's teams activated the dispersal units. Clouds of shimmering nanites filled the air, carried on currents to every corner of New York. Alien biomechs began to twitch and convulse, their mechanical components falling away. In the park, the processed humans dropped from the ship's grasp as its systems went haywire. Jack leaped impossibly high, latching onto the ship's hull. With strength that defied physics, he tore open an access panel and emptied a canister of concentrated nanovirus into the ship's biological core. The massive vessel shuddered, then began to transform. Its metallic shell peeled away, revealing the organic form beneath, a colossal, squid-like creature that thrashed in confused agony. As the alien ship crashed to Earth, a cheer went up from the human resistance. All across the city, similar scenes played out. The invaders found their technology failing, their soldiers reverting to vulnerable organic forms. But the victory was far from assured. For every alien they neutralized, more seemed to pour from the ship still in orbit. The enhanced humans, incredible as they were, began to tire. The nanovirus clouds dissipated, their effects localized and temporary. Back in the underground base, Sarah and Zoe worked frantically to coordinate the global resistance. We've got reports of successful strikes in London, Tokyo, and Lagos, Zoe reported. But the aliens are adapting, developing countermeasures. Sarah's mind raced. They needed a way to end this, decisively and soon. Her eyes fell on the alien translator they'd discovered in the DARPA lab. An idea began to form. "Zoe, patch me into the alien command frequency," she ordered. "What? Why?" Zoe asked. Even as her fingers flew over the keyboard, Sarah's eyes gleamed with determination. "I'm going to negotiate." Across the battlefield, human and alien alike paused as a new voice boomed from every speaker and communications device. "Attention alien forces," Sarah's voice rang out, translated into the invaders' own language. "You've underestimated us. Every moment you continue this invasion, we grow stronger, learning to use your own technology against you, but it doesn't have to be this way." In orbit, aboard the alien mothership, the Hive Mind Collective turned its attention to this unexpected communication. Sarah continued, her words carried to every corner of the globe and beyond. "We propose an exchange. Your invasion force withdraws immediately, and in return, we share with you the secret of our resilience, our adaptability, the very traits that have allowed us to fight you to a standstill." There was a long, tense moment of silence. Then a response came. The alien voice was cold, curious. "You would bargain with us, after all we have done." "We would," Sarah replied firmly, "because that's what humans do. We forgive. We cooperate. We grow. And right now, we're offering you a chance to grow with us, instead of dying against us." Hours passed as the negotiation continued. On the ground, an uneasy ceasefire held. Finally, a decision was reached. The invasion force began to withdraw. Ships rose into the sky, disappearing into the void of space. In exchange, humanity shared the secrets of their adaptability, not through genetics or technology, but through their indomitable spirit, their creativity, and their capacity for change. As the last ship vanished from view, a new day dawned on Earth. The planet was battered, its cities in ruins, but its people stood tall. United as never before, humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. In the heart of New York, Sarah, Jack, and their team watched the sun rise on a changed world. The human spirit had not just endured, it had ignited, burning brighter than ever before. And now, with the knowledge and technology gained from this crucible, they turned their eyes to the stars, ready to take their place in a much larger universe. The end of the invasion was just the beginning of humanity's next great adventure, turning the tide. 5 years had passed since the great alien invasion, and humanity had not been idle. The withdrawal of the invaders had left Earth scared but unbroken, and in the crucible of reconstruction, a new era of human innovation and unity had been forged. Sarah Chen, now director of Earth's fledgling extraterrestrial relations department, stood aboard Harmony Station, humanity's first true deep space habitat. Through the panoramic viewport, the blue marble of Earth hung serenely against the star-speckled void. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Jack Harper's voice came from behind her. The years had been kind to him. The genetic enhancements had slowed his aging, and his eyes still held that otherworldly gleam. Sarah nodded, a smile playing at her lips. "Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come." Their reflective moment was interrupted by Zoe's urgent voice over the comms. Now in her early 20s, the former teen prodigy had grown into one of Earth's foremost experts in alien technology. "Sarah, Jack, we've got a situation. You need to see this." Minutes later, they converged in Harmony's state-of-the-art command center. Zoe's fingers danced over holographic displays, bringing up a sea of data. "We've detected a massive energy surge at the edge of our solar system," she explained, her voice tense. "It matches the signature of the invaders' faster-than-light drives." A chill ran through the room. Dr. Emilio Rodriguez, who had joined them on the station to oversee human adaptation to space, spoke up. "I thought we had an agreement with them. Why would they return?" Sarah's mind raced through the possibilities. "We need more information. Zoe, can you get a visual?" The main screen flickered to life, showing a distant point of light rapidly resolving into a massive spacecraft. But this was no invader vessel. Its design was sleek, almost organic, incorporating elements of both alien and human architecture. "That's not what I expected," Jack muttered, voicing everyone's confusion. Before they could speculate further, a transmission cut through their comms. The voice that spoke was neither human nor the cold tones of the invader hive mind. It was something in between. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come seeking alliance and warning. The galaxy stands on the brink of war, and your world may be the key to preventing it." Sarah exchanged glances with her team before stepping forward. "This is Director Sarah Chen of Earth's Extraterrestrial Relations Department. We're listening." The being that appeared on their screen was humanoid, but with clear alien features, iridescent skin, large, compound eyes, and a crown of sensory tendrils. "I am Ambassador Zarthal of the Galactic Concord. We are a union of species dedicated to peace and mutual prosperity. The invaders you repelled. They were fleeing a greater threat." Over the next hour, Zarthal painted a grim picture. The invaders, properly called the Exentri, were a refugee species driven from their home by a rapacious empire known as the Void Dominion. The Exentri's desperate bid to claim Earth had been a last-ditch effort to find a new home and replenish their numbers. "When you defeated them, and then offered cooperation instead of annihilation, it shook the foundations of galactic politics," Zarthal explained. "Many species took notice. The Exentri, humbled, became some of your staunchest advocates in the galactic community." Jack leaned forward, his enhanced eyes narrowing. "So why come to us now? What's changed?" Zarthal's expression grew grave. "The Void Dominion has set its sights on your region of space. They see your potential as a threat. More importantly, they've learned of the unique properties in your planet's biosphere. The same properties that allowed you to adapt our technology so quickly." Sarah felt a weight settle in her stomach. "They're coming for Earth." "Yes," Zarthal confirmed. "But we believe you may hold the key to stopping them. The adaptability of your species, combined with your innovative use of Sendri technology, could provide the edge we need in this conflict." Dr. Rodriguez interjected. "You're talking about weaponizing our genetic adaptability on a galactic scale." Zarthal nodded solemnly. "It is not a decision we make lightly, but the alternative is the subjugation or destruction of countless worlds." A heavy silence fell over the command center. The weight of the galaxy seemed to press down on their shoulders. It was Zoe who finally broke the tension. "Well," she said, a hint of her old mischievous spark in her eyes, "I always did want to see the stars up close." Sarah couldn't help but smile at the young woman's irrepressible spirit. She turned to Jack, seeing the same mixture of determination and excitement in his eyes that she felt in her heart. "Looks like humanity's next great adventure starts now," she said. "Ambassador Zarthal, we'll need to consult with Earth's governments, but speaking personally, count us in." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's leaders debated fiercely, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Humanity would join the Galactic Concord and take their place on the intergalactic stage. Harmony Station became the hub of a massive mobilization effort. Ships were retrofitted with hybrid human-alien tech, while volunteers from every nation on Earth underwent training in xenobiology and advanced combat techniques. Sarah found herself at the center of it all, coordinating between Earth's fledgling space fleet, the Concord's vast armada, and a complex web of galactic diplomacy. Jack led the training of enhanced human squadrons, preparing them for the unique challenges of space warfare. As the day of departure approached, Sarah stood once again at the viewport, watching shuttles ferry supplies and personnel to the gathering fleet. "Having second thoughts?" Jack asked, joining her. Sarah shook her head. "No, but I can't help thinking about how much has changed. A few years ago, we were huddled in subway tunnels, fighting for survival. Now we're about to join an intergalactic war." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "We've come a long way. But at its core, this is no different from what we faced before. We're fighting for our home, for our right to exist. We're just doing it on a bigger scale." Sarah nodded, drawing strength from his words and presence. "You're right. And this time, we're not alone." As if on cue, Zarthal's voice came over the comms. "Director Chen, Commander Harper, the Concorde fleet is ready. We await your word." Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. This was it. The moment humanity would truly turn the tide, not just for Earth, but for the galaxy. "Ambassador Zarthal," she said, her voice steady and clear, "the people of Earth stand ready. Let's show the Void Dominion what happens when you threaten our home." With a surge of energy, the combined fleet of Earth and the Galactic Concorde engaged their FTL drives. In a flash of light, they vanished from Earth's orbit, bound for the front lines of an intergalactic conflict. As Harmony Station receded into the distance, Sarah felt a mixture of trepidation and exhilaration. They were leaping into the unknown, but they carried with them the indomitable spirit that had seen humanity through its darkest hour. The tide of galactic history was about to turn, and humanity would be at the forefront, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw their way. The next chapter of their incredible journey was just beginning. A new dawn. The vast emptiness of space erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy as the combined fleets of Earth and the Galactic Concorde engaged the Void Dominion's armada. At the heart of the chaos, the ESS Resilience, Earth's flagship, led the charge, its hybrid human-alien technology, allowing it to dance between enemy fire with impossible grace. On the bridge, Sarah Chen gripped her command chair, her eyes darting between holographic displays of the battle. "Status report," she barked. Zoe's voice came through clear despite the interference. "The Dominion's taken heavy losses, but they're pushing hard towards the Arcturus system. If they take those planets, they'll have a straight shot to Earth." Sarah's jaw clenched. They'd been fighting this war for months, and while humanity's adaptability had proven invaluable, the Void Dominion's sheer numbers were overwhelming. "We can't let that happen." Jack's voice crackled over the comm. He was leading a squadron of enhanced humans in nimble strike craft, harrying the enemy's flanks. "Sarah, remember New York. We didn't win by just fighting harder." A glimmer of an idea sparked in Sarah's mind. "We won by changing the rules of the game," she murmured. Then, louder, "Zoe, get me a direct line to Admiral Zarthal. I have a plan." As the battle raged on, Sarah outlined her daring strategy. It was risky, borderline insane, but it just might work. Admiral Zarthal, to his credit, didn't dismiss it outright. "You're suggesting we use the Concorde's telepathic network to interface with the Void Dominion's hive mind?" The alien admiral asked, his compound eyes blinking rapidly. Sarah nodded grimly. "Not to control them, but to understand them. To show them what they're fighting against and what they could gain by stopping." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been monitoring the enhanced humans' biometrics, spoke up. "It's possible. Our genetic modifications, combined with the Concorde's psychic tech, we could create a bridge." "It's our best shot," Sarah insisted. "We can't win this war through attrition. We need to change minds, not just destroy ships." After a tense moment, Zarthal nodded. "Very well, Director Chen. We'll follow your lead. May the stars guide us." The next hours were a blur of frantic preparation. As the main fleet engaged the Dominion forces, a smaller, elite team assembled aboard the Resilience. Jack and a cadre of his best enhanced soldiers linked up with Concorde psychics, their minds joining in a complex neural network. At the center of it all stood Sarah, her hand steady as Dr. Rodriguez attached a series of delicate sensors to her temples. This was far beyond anything they'd attempted before, but the principles were the same as when they'd first reverse-engineered alien tech in those New York subway tunnels. Adapt, improvise, overcome. "Ready?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack reached out, squeezing her hand. "Together," he said simply. Sarah nodded, took a deep breath, and activated the interface. The sensation was overwhelming. Suddenly, she wasn't just Sarah Chen. She was a confluence of minds, human and alien, stretching across the battlefield. She could feel the determination of Earth's forces, the ancient wisdom of the Concord, and something else. A vast, cold intelligence, alien yet somehow familiar. The Void Dominion. Sarah pushed through her initial panic, focusing on the task at hand. She reached out, not with words, but with concepts, emotions, memories. She showed the Dominion the Earth, not as a resource to be conquered, but as a vibrant, living world. She shared the terror of the initial invasion, the triumph of survival, the wonder of first contact with the Concord. But more than that, she showed them humanity's greatest strength, the ability to change, to grow, to forge connections across the gulf of species and cultures. The Dominion's surprise rippled through the psychic link. They had conquered countless worlds, absorbed innumerable species, but never had they encountered a race like humanity. A species that could take the technology of their enemies and not just use it, but improve upon it. A people who, when faced with destruction, chose to offer cooperation instead of revenge. As the psychic exchange deepened, Sarah began to understand the Void Dominion in turn. She saw a species driven by a desperate fear of stagnation, consuming others in a misguided attempt to evolve. They had never considered that true growth might come through collaboration rather than conquest. Slowly, painstakingly, Sarah and her team began to plant the seeds of a new idea in the vast collective consciousness of the Dominion. The concept of symbiosis rather than parasitism, of strength through diversity rather than homogeneity. In the physical world, the battle began to slow. Ships from both sides hung in space, crews momentarily paralyzed as the psychic struggle played out on a level beyond normal perception. After what felt like both an eternity and an instant, Sarah gasped, her eyes flying open as the neural link disengaged. She found herself back on the bridge of the Resilience, surrounded by her team. Jack was there, supporting her as she swayed on her feet. Did it work? She managed to ask, her voice hoarse. Before anyone could answer, the main view screen lit up. The face that appeared was alien, a being of swirling darkness and pinpricks of light, like a living slice of deep space. When it spoke, its voice resonated on multiple frequencies. People of Earth, Galactic Concord, we have heard you. We have seen you. For the first time in eons, we understand. A collective breath was held across the fleet as the Void Dominion continued. We have long sought evolution through consumption, but you have shown us a new path, a path of growth through cooperation, of strength through unity of purpose rather than form. The alien being seemed to ripple, its starfield features rearranging. We propose an exchange, not of weapons or territories, but of knowledge, of cultures. We have much to learn from each other. Sarah stepped forward, her legs still shaky, but her voice strong. On behalf of Earth and our allies, we accept. Let this be the beginning of a new era of peace and mutual understanding. As the diplomatic talks began in earnest, a cheer went up across the human fleet. It started small, a few voices on the bridge of the Resilience, but soon spread to every ship, station, and outpost. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet and emerged victorious not through force of arms, but through the very adaptability and spirit that defined them. In the days that followed, the galaxy saw unprecedented change. The Void Dominion, true to their word, began to shift from a conquering force to a collaborative member of the galactic community. Earth found itself at the center of a new era of cultural and technological exchange. Sarah stood once again at the viewport of Harmony Station, watching shuttles ferry diplomats and scientists instead of soldiers. Jack joined her, a smile playing at his lips. You know, he said, when we were fighting off the invasion in New York, I never imagined we'd end up here. Sarah chuckled. Brokering peace for the galaxy. Yeah, that wasn't in my 5-year plan either. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, taking in the view. Earth hung serenely in the distance, no longer a bastion of isolation, but a shining beacon of hope for the galaxy. So, Jack finally asked, "What's next?" Sarah's eyes sparkled with the reflection of distant stars. "You know, there's still so much of the universe we haven't seen. So many mysteries to unravel, so many new friends to meet." She turned to face him, holding out her hand. "What do you say we go find out what's out there?" Jack took her hand, grinning. "Together," he said. As they turned back to the stars, the first light of a new dawn broke over Earth's horizon. It was more than just the start of a new day. It was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity and the galaxy alike. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them the same way they had overcome every obstacle, with courage, creativity, and an unwavering spirit of adventure. The human spirit had not just endured, it had transformed the very fabric of galactic society. And this, they knew, was only the beginning.